We have some new CBS News Battleground Tracker poll results from the key primary states. In the Republican race, it's all about Donald Trump in New Hampshire, where at 38%, he leads the pack by 26 points. Ben Carson is next with 12%, followed by the rest of the field in single digits. In South Carolina, the story is the same. Trump is ahead of Carson by almost 20 percentage points, with the rest of the field, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and Jeb Bush all in single digits, everyone else coming in behind them. But in Iowa, the Republican race has tightened. Donald Trump and Ben Carson are tied for first place at 27%. Ted Cruz is the only other candidate to earn double digits at 12%. Marco Rubio comes in at 9%, and the rest of the field is at 6% or less. We'll have the numbers in the Democratic race coming up in a moment. We're back with more results from our CBS Battleground Tracker with CBS News Elections Director Anthony Salvanto, and Nancy Cordes joins us from the campaign trail in Des Moines, Iowa. Anthony, let's start with you. What's happening with the Democrats?
Well, let's start with Iowa, where it's been a particularly strong week for Hillary Clinton. She's now gone into the lead in Iowa. She was down there. You know, events move numbers, and Iowans told us that they thought she won the debate. But there's also a sense that she's reestablishing a lot of her campaign themes here, because we ask folks, well, why are you supporting Hillary Clinton now? And they say electability and they say experience, both things that her campaign has been trying to establish or reestablish. Seems like the debate helped that. You move on to New Hampshire, where Bernie Sanders is still up. She has cut into his lead. It's still a big one, but same dynamic there, experience and electability working for her. And then you move on to South Carolina, the early state, where she is up big, and here particularly helped by Joe Biden's decision not to run. We asked everybody who was supporting Joe Biden, and there were quite a few folks, what would you do if he decides not to run? What would be your second choice? And it's her. So her numbers are bumped up a little more because of that.
Yeah, 43 points in South Carolina is gargantuan. And Nancy, you, though, are in Iowa. Big doings there last night at the Jefferson-Jackson dinner. Tell us about that.
Well, this is a unique event, John, because you've got thousands of the most active Democrats in the state all together in one arena comparing these candidates back to back. Back in 2007, then Senator Barack Obama delivered a stem winder here, and it really propelled him to the front of the pack. Now, that kind of speech wasn't Hillary Clinton's style back then. It isn't today, so she kind of played it safe. She stuck to her stump speech. That didn't seem to bother most of her supporters. They even chanted some of the most familiar lines along with her. And interestingly, this is an event where the candidates tend to sort of sharpen their contrasts with one another. She really didn't do much of that. She focused primarily on the Republicans, trying to frame herself as the person who's most likely to take them on next year.
Anthony, there were glow sticks for Hillary Clinton. She had Katy Perry. This was an attempt to show huge enthusiasm for her campaign. Is that showing up in the numbers?
In fact, it is. So in Iowa in particular, we talked last time about there being an enthusiasm gap between her and Sanders. Most of her supporters, though they're voting for her, weren't enthusiastic. Now they are. Most of them are. Same thing is also true in New Hampshire.
Nancy, you mentioned the sharpening that sometimes happens in these speeches. Hillary Clinton was not sharper, but Bernie Sanders was turning up the attacks a little bit, wasn't he?
He really did. He went through this litany of issues, John, trade deals, Defensive Marriage Act, the Iraq War, Keystone XL pipeline, and talked about how he had stood his ground from the beginning on each one of them. And the clear implication was that Hillary Clinton had either waffled or shifted over time on each of them. You heard Anthony talk about how most people felt that Hillary Clinton won the debate. Well, she came after Bernie Sanders much stronger than he probably expected, and so there was a clear course correction last night.
And in Iowa, quickly, Anthony, before we switch over to the Republicans, in Iowa, how's it going, or in terms of the Sanders support? If Hillary's doing better, is he dropping? Is he falling? Is he leveling off?
This really hasn't come at his expense. His supporters are still enthusiastic, and he really owns that Democratic issue space of concern about the economy, about inequality. The reasons people say that they're supporting him are that they think he can tackle inequality, and are that they think that he can partly maybe change Washington a little.
Let's switch over to talking about the Republicans. What do you see in terms, we've talked about the horse race number. Let's think underneath that. What do you see in terms of the way the voters are thinking about, Republicans voters are thinking about their candidates?
Yeah, we tried to get a sense of the larger contours of this race, not just who you're voting for, but who would you consider and who would be a satisfactory nominee, even if you're not backing them right now. And it's pretty striking. For a lot of the field, besides Ben Carson, really, and Donald Trump, who's leading, you see very high unsatisfactory numbers for a lot of these candidates, in particular in Iowa, for Jeb Bush. And that's so important because before you get a vote, you have to become satisfactory. And so that just makes a much higher hurdle for some of them.
So that's right. So you have Jeb Bush. This is in terms of their ability to grow, or they have a harder time. The only one who's really doing well, who has a high unsatisfactory number there, is Trump at 56. Does this create some room for candidates with whom voters are satisfied, even if they're not yet ready to put them at the top of the horse race poll?
Trump's unsatisfactory number is because he is polarizing. You are really either for him or not for him at all. So his supporters would be satisfied. Everybody else would not. And in terms of room, some of the ratios here you see for someone like Marco Rubio, a little bit for Ted Cruz. People aren't necessarily backing them right now, but they say that they'd be satisfied if they ended up as the nominee. That could be room.
And also Ben Carson doing very well in the satisfied question. All right, Anthony Salvanto, thanks so much. Nancy in Des Moines, Iowa, thank you. We'll be back in a moment.